Hey everyone, it's Stacy, and today I have an interesting video for you. Those of you who are mixed, you probably heard of the mixed girl tag or tag videos. And so I know I'm a little late in the party, but I wanted to do my version of the mixed girl tag. I think I have an interesting background, and so hopefully you guys will get some great insight. So with that, those of you who are not familiar with the mixed girl tag, it's a series of questions that are asked of mixed girls to learn about their experiences being mixed and any insight that they can give to other mixed girls or other people in general about being mixed. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First question, what are you mixed with? So I am actually mixed with African American and German. And I have to distinguish that I am literally German. I'm not a white American German, because there's a lot of people who are Caucasian, who are white, and they may say that they have German ancestry. No, my mom is a full-blood German. She still has her citizenship in Germany. Blonde hair, blue eyes, German, okay? Straight German. And the reason why I say that is because German people are a lot different from white Americans. So culturally and just, yeah. So I just had to say that. 2, what ethnicity are you often mistaken for? So it's interesting, depending on how I have my hair would determine how people, think of me. So right now I have my hair up because it's hot, it's summertime. I'm not dealing with it all down on my neck, but I have curly hair, which is another question coming up. And so I've gotten a lot of like the Caribbean nations, so Cuban, Puerto Rican, which I don't really think I look Puerto Rican. I got Mexican before. I went on a mission trip to Mexico, and this Mexican man was speaking to me in Spanish, and I was like, no hablo español, and he was like, how do you not know your own language? And I was like, I'm not Mexican, but obviously he thought I was one of them. Of course, I've had people think that I was black. I had times where people thought that I was from India, which I always thought was kind of interesting because I don't think I look like I'm from India, but I've gotten that before. Some people sometimes think I'm Asian, or I have Asian in me, because my eyes are a little small, but I don't know. Yeah, that's the most part. Some white people say I'm just straight black, which is fine if people think that I'm straight black. Sometimes I refer to myself as being black as well, because I am mixed with black, right? I am colored. So yeah, that's about it. Is your hair curly or straight? My hair's curly. Sorry you can't see it right now because it's hot, like I said. But yeah, I have curly hair. Was coming up from different backgrounds challenging while growing up? So I know I've heard people answer this question, and I'm not trying to negate other people's experiences, but for me, I feel like I've been very blessed. I grew up as a military brat, so a lot of the areas that I lived had other mixed children. I grew up with friends of all races, and I know people say this all the time, but literally I had friends that were Korean, that were Puerto Rican, that were black, that were white, that were Mexican, and we literally all hung out together. It wasn't like, oh, I knew this person that's Puerto Rican, or I knew this person that was white. No, we actually all hung out together. And so race and all of that, I actually, growing up, I thought that racism didn't exist because of the environment I grew up in. I mean, everyone was open to everyone. But I did realize that me being mixed was a problem for some people. not in my community that I was in, the military community. People, like I said, there were a lot of mixed people growing up. But I found that, like, my extended family, there were some people that didn't like that I was mixed, right, on both sides, for at least a little part of the life. I remember on my German side, of course, the thought of someone marrying a black man was a little controversial. So I know in the beginning for my parents, that part of the relationship was kind of hard, right? But my grandparents ended up, they loved us. They always sent us gifts in the mail. I enjoyed seeing them. That was a true, genuine relationship. They're now gone to be with the Lord, but I really, really, truly love them. And I think that, they grew, from that experience, the thought of their daughter marrying, look, here's my dog. Hi, Snoopy. The thought of their daughter marrying a black man probably was like a big deal for them, because they grew up during the time of, the world wars. So it was a huge change, right? And like I said, they ended up loving us. But then on my black side, you also had people who were like, well, why did he marry a white woman? And I know that that's still a thing that people say today, like black men shouldn't marry white women. And I know that I had some relatives on my father's side that they wouldn't say they're racist, but they would say comments, racial comments that I never got in any other environment. And I was a kid at this time, right? And like I said, I grew up in a military base, or military bases, because we moved a lot, and we didn't experience any of these types of things. So, when people talk about your hair, or they talk about your skin color, or they talk about, oh, you do that because your mom's white, or, things like that, people may not think that it's racist, but if you don't hear that in your community, and then all of a sudden somebody who's not used to seeing mixed people say stuff like that, then it might come across as, okay, this is kind of racist, right? So really, like, I was blessed growing up overall. I was not necessarily exposed to those racial comments on a regular basis. I know there's some people who live in an environment, it's primarily one type of nationality, and so they might be exposed to more racist comments. And like I said before, I didn't really think racism really was a thing. So even with my family members that would say comments here and there, I didn't really think anything of it until I went to college. So I ended up going to college at, I guess I'll say I went to Sam Houston State University, of Cats. And out of all the different universities, it's actually a pretty diverse university, but it's very segregated. And I found out that this was the norm in a lot of places, that people will say that it's diverse, but it's actually very segregated. And I was left with a decision. I actually had to decide, who will I hang out with? Will I hang out with the black people? Will I hang out with the white people? And like the Asians in that point, like they didn't really want anything to do with other nationalities either, I didn't really see that many Hispanics. There were some Hispanics, but everyone stayed within their group. So I had to make a decision at that point. I decided to hang out with black people, just because I do, I guess, like black people. And like I said earlier, white American is not like Germans. It's very different. And so I never really felt like I fit in with white America, because it's just very different. So when I went to college and I had to make that choice of hanging out with either black or white or whatever group, and I started hanging out with the blacks, I started getting comments from people. So before, I wouldn't have people call me yellow bone and light skin, and people say, oh, you do that because your mom's white, or your hair, talking about my hair, like different things going on with my hair. I didn't really experience that. I might have experienced it a little growing up, but I experienced it a lot when I was in college. And these were like my friends, like these were my good friends, and they still said comments like this, and it was very racist. And some of you guys that are watching this might be some of my friends, and you might not realize I always thought the comments that you were saying was racist, but it was. And so I find that not that it bothered me. I knew my identity by the time I went to college. I knew myself. That wasn't a question. Like you know, someone talking about my race, my skin color, and all that, it didn't bother me because I knew who I was. I loved myself, and that wasn't a problem. But I found that other people had a problem with me. I don't know if it was because I looked interesting to them, or they were jealous of something, or they hated the fact that my mom was white. I don't know. But I do feel that sometimes people think just because I have a white mom, if I'm talking about black people, that they have a right to say certain things to me. And I don't think that's right. You know, that's not right at all. That's, my opinion, racist. And people can say, well, black people can't be racist. Black people can definitely be racist. And so, like I said, it's mainly the other people who have a problem. But growing up, I didn't really have much of a problem. I will say that I did struggle with my hair. That was a thing. Because no one had hair like mine. And so I had a hard time figuring out how to tame this mane. Like, my hair is actually very easy to manage, but I had a hard time figuring out how to do it. And I know my mom, she actually did a pretty good job with my hair. You know, growing up, she kept it braided. We had braids a lot. We never really had our hair out, and she kept it moisturized. But I remember that there were times where I really wanted straight hair, fine straight hair with no curls, because I had friends, you know, I had white friends, and they wake up in the morning, or go to a slumber party, they wake up in the morning, they just comb their hair and they're done. Like, they'll be done in a second, like combing through their hair. While me, it'll take me at least 30 minutes to do my hair, right? Or, you know, they'll French braid their hair. There's like certain hairstyles they can do. And for me, when I try to do it, it wouldn't look the same because I'll have curls that were coming out, right? So when I was younger, I actually wanted the fine, straight hair. When I got into middle school, that's when I wanted to have hair more like, you know, with African descent, the tight, coiled, textured hair, even if it was, you know, pressed out or relaxed. Because I was just so amazed at all the different hairstyles that all my black friends were having. You know, I liked the fact that they had braids that they could wear, and that they had these elaborate hairstyles that they would do. Well, my hair does not do the same thing. Right? Like, if I try to make some of those hairstyles, my hair texture is curly, but it's fine and it's thin. So I don't have that thick hair. So a lot of hairstyles that, you know, my black sisters can do, I can't do. So I was envious of that as well. So I didn't really have many people who had hair like mine. And so I had to be creative with the type of hairstyles that I can have for my own hair. But I eventually learned, and it was actually during middle school, towards the end of middle school, that I had special hair. I understood that my curls were a beautiful thing. I started wearing my hair out curly. I got compliments about my hair. You know, and people would always talk about how soft my hair was and the texture of my hair. I realized that I had something special, you know. Even though I enjoyed other people's characteristics and I wish that I could do those things, I had something special that no one else had. And so still to this day, I don't know anyone who has hair like mine. Like, people with mixed hair, their hair is very different from person to person. And I don't know anyone, like not even my sisters. Like, we all have different hair. Our hair color, like you can't see it, but my hair is slightly a light brown because I have a lot of blonde hair in it. You know, and there's a lot of people who put like blonde highlights in their hair and things like that because they're trying to get, you know, lighter colored hair. So I do feel blessed. That was a long answer for that question. Um, which background do you embrace more? Is the next question. So I would say I embrace my black background more. And that's just because I'm in America and that's what's here, right? Like, I'm around black people. There's not that many Germans. And a lot of times, if I do go to a German area, like there's German bakeries and German festivals, a lot of times people don't know that I'm half German when they see me. Um, and when I go to Germany too, if I have my hair down curly, people just think I'm black or they think I'm interesting. If I have my hair up, my mom told me that I actually look very German. I am very light toned, so sometimes people don't even notice me if I have my hair up a certain way. Um, but for the most part, I identify more with black because that's what I'm exposed to more. I live here in America. But I will say, whenever I go to Germany, it's very refreshing because it's like, aha, that's why I do some of the things I do. Or, you know, I do feel at home. Like it's a part of me that's missing, you know? And then when I get there, it's like, oh, now I feel more at place. Because sometimes I will say, sometimes when I'm here in America, sometimes I feel as though I have moments where I don't fit in, I guess you can say. Um, like my personality is seen as a little bit weird, but I realize it's not necessarily my personality, it's the German culture that I have. I was raised by a German mom. So there's certain German tendencies that I have. Um, it's very, very German, very, very German tendencies. That's not American. And for some people, when they encounter me, since I have very German tendencies, it kind of throws them off sometimes. And they might not understand me sometimes with some of those tendencies. But okay, so I do embrace the black side. I love black music. I love the clothes, the culture. I live in a town right now that's primarily black. I have a lot of black friends. I consider myself black. I, yeah, there you have it. I consider myself German too. I also call myself German in a heartbeat. Okay, I'm a German citizen, even though I don't have paperwork and I was born in America. But I am German. My mom's German. I'm German. Okay, all right. Have you ever been teased for being different? Yes. So I already talked about this a little. Of course, you know, having light skin and my hair and all that. So I'm not gonna go into that again because I already answered that in full detail in another question. Have you ever been ashamed of being multiracial? I won't say I was necessarily ever ashamed of being of mixed race, but I will say that there were times that I might have felt uncomfortable. Um, so, and the interesting thing is, I'll actually feel more uncomfortable in situations where there's a lot of black people and I'm the only mixed person than vice versa. Um, and let me explain why. So, a lot of times when you're in an environment where there's a lot of white people, whether you're mixed or black, a lot of times I'm sorry if you're white and you're watching this, but this is my experience. You're kind of ignored or you're not seen as, you know, now there have been cases where I am seen and they're like, okay, you're a colored person type thing. But for the most part, I'm not seen. I'm ignored. You know, people don't talk to me. You know, in those types of environments. In black environments, I'm seen. And sometimes it's uncomfortable being seen. You know, I stand out. I'm light skinned. I'm bright. And, you know, if everyone else is black around me, I do stand out. And so sometimes it feels uncomfortable, you know. Like I live in the Dallas Metroplex, and those of you who live in this area know that guys like to look and stare, which is very uncomfortable. And being in an area where it's more black people, I have more black men looking at me. And for me, I feel uncomfortable because sometimes I feel like, well, are you looking at me because I'm light skinned? Or are you looking at me because you find me attractive, or like that? I have a problem with that. Like, because I know that there's like those stereotypes, like, oh, if you get a light-skinned girl, and all that. And I think that Black women are very gorgeous. I think they're absolutely beautiful. And so sometimes I have a hard time with that. Not that I don't think I'm beautiful or anything like that, and that guys shouldn't look at me, but that does make me feel uncomfortable. Or if I'm just in an environment, an event or something, even, like meetings or churches, I'm lucky to be at a church where there's more diversity, but there's been churches that I've been to that will have all Black people, and then I'm the mixed person, and they always see you as the mixed person. Some people, they see you as Black, but then you have some people that see you as the mixed person, and you have some people who have problem with light-skinned. It's mainly Black women who have problem with light skin, and so they look at you a certain way, and they think that they have rights to say comments, like I said earlier, right? So feeling judged and all that. So I'm not ashamed of being mixed, but I have been put in uncomfortable positions because of being mixed, that I wish that I didn't have to experience. All right. Do you feel being mixed race has its benefits? Oh, of course. I love being mixed. One of the great things about being mixed is like I'm a chameleon. I can change, right? So there's some people who they're how can I explain this? I can act according to where I'm at, right? So if I'm around a lot of Black people, and not that there's stereotypes, but there are certain tendencies that Black people do. Black people are louder. Black people are more energetic. So I might change my personality a little bit when I'm around Black people. I actually enjoy that personality of me more. And then when around white people, I have to be a little bit more reserved, more quiet. It's just different, right? But I can also talk differently in different environments. And I think all Black people actually know how to do this, especially if you are in the corporate world. Black people know how to act differently in different environments. But for me, I actually feel comfortable in all types. If I'm in a white environment, I feel comfortable. If I'm in a Black environment, I feel comfortable. I don't feel uncomfortable in any of the environments. I feel like I have good white friends. I have good Black friends. I feel at ease in all the situations. And I think another benefit about being mixed is having a wider perspective on things. People don't realize this, but everyone's mixed. I mean, people know it deep down, but really, they don't really understand it. Like, we're all mixed. And I know one of the things, okay, those of you who are on my channel, you know that I am a Christian and I talk about the Bible a lot. So I'm about to talk biblical right now. So there's one thing about the Bible that people neglect is the diversity of the Israelite people. The Israelites, from its original origin, was a mixed group. So the 12 sons, where the 12 tribes of Israel came from, they married outside of their race. Okay, so some of them married people from Ham's line, so the African line. Some married people from Japheth's line, okay, so the white people. And then some people married Shemites, all right? So, all continuing in the Near East or Middle East areas, okay? So from the very beginning of the Jewish religion, Christian religion, there was diversity. Okay, the people were always diverse. Moses married 2 Black women, an Egyptian and don't remember. I want to say she's Ethiopian, but I don't remember for sure. But there were 2 Black women. You have Esther and the Persian king, right? You have Ruth, who was a Moabite, that married Boaz. You have Solomon, who married every single race there is, it seemed like. So there was always diversity. And I know that, there's the scriptures talking about don't marry outside your race. But there's clearly a ton of examples where they did marry outside their race. The problem was when they married outside their race, and the race, like those wives, did not adopt the Jewish law and adopted God as their God, Yahweh as their God. But they kept their religions. If they kept their religion, that's when it became a problem. But you have someone like Ruth, a Moabite, who was like, you know what? I will be your people. Your God will be my God, right? So knowing that, I think that's part of the reason why I do so well with being mixed now, because I understand that God always saw human race as a human race, and he never really saw it as all these divisive countries. Yes, we had different tribes and things like that, but as long as we are connected with God, that's all that matters. My dad's a Christian, my mom's a Christian, and so, the color of their skin is irrelevant at that point. It really is. So, yeah. Just had to put that in. I really enjoy being mixed. I enjoy my European culture and my American Black culture tremendously. I love the foods. I love the people. I love it all. What makes being multiracial a beautiful thing? So like I said, it shows the unity. I mean, the fact that my mom is a white German with a father who come to a point where he loves my dad, he loves us, right? That's a beautiful thing. And the same vice versa, that my dad's family accepts us, that they see my mom as just as Black as they are, right? Like, that's a beautiful thing. Now, I know, like I said, there will always be, and even right now, there are some racial tensions that still occurs in my family. Some of them are intentional racial tensions, some of them are not. But overall, I can see people trying to work through it. They might not see the racism, and now they're trying to work through it. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So, and then the last question, any advice to someone struggling with their multiracial identity? So, like I said, I mean, I did have some struggles being of mixed race. And I know that there were times where when I was in college and, in situations where I would be the only mixed person, where you feel uncomfortable. But just remember deep down that we're all one people. Everyone's mixed. We all have different backgrounds. We have different struggles. And, it doesn't matter the color of your skin. This whole idea of black, white is actually a very new concept. It started because of the end of slavery. They were trying to find ways to bring divides again. Okay, when you really understand that, you understand that like Europe had a lot of Black people. They had a lot of mixing of Black and white. You understand that Africa, like in Egypt, there were times when the pharaohs were Black. There were times when they were Semitic. There were times when they were white from the Japheth's line. Like, there was always a diversity everywhere throughout the centuries. And so, to bring all these divisions, it's not needed, and realize that when there is conflict, it's their problem. When I talk about these people who would say comments to me, it's their problem. Unfortunately, like I said, it's normally the Black women who say comments to me. That's their problem. Maybe they have problems with themselves. Maybe they don't understand their identity. There's a lot of Black women who feel ugly because of the stereotypes that have been put on Black women. But they have to learn to rise above that. That's not your fault. Just because they were those stereotypes, and that white women have been seen as the beautiful women, and now you're mixed, so you have some, well, if you're Black and white, you have some white in you, so now they have this envy of, oh, you have this white in you. that's something they have to work through. It's not your fault that you're mixed. It's not your fault that you look the way you do, that God has blessed you with the features that you have. So you shouldn't feel bad about that. They're the ones that have to get over it, right? And that's my opinion on it. And when I come across people who are like that, I call them out, when they say stuff, now, because it's not their place. I know my identity in Christ. I know my identity as a person. I love my German heritage. I love my Black heritage. And I have the right to call myself Black. I have the right to call myself German. And no one can tell me otherwise, right? And so I know, like I said, it can be hard. You don't have to fight every single battle. When people have said racial comments to me, I normally ignore them. Sometimes I might call them out, but a lot of times I'm just like, okay, you obviously are having your own problems if you have to call me out, about the color of my skin or the texture of my hair. I mean, that's very superficial that you have to call that out. What does that say about you? So, all right, I've been wanting to do this video for a long time. I hope this was encouragement for some of you guys who are mixed. And those of you who are not mixed and you're watching it, I hope that brings some insight to you about being mixed in America, or I guess just in general, in my experience. So I might do some more mixed videos. If there are certain questions or anything that you have, go ahead and put them down below. And I guess I will talk to y'all next time. See y'all. Bye.